dignity, purpose, and the future young people inherit. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my utmost pleasure to invite our speakers for this session onto the stage. First, please welcome Helianti Hilman, founder and executive chairperson, Javara Indonesia. Muhammad Izzat Afifi Abdul Hamid, President, Malaysia Youth Council. Adli Zakwan Zaira Kithnaini, Associate Liaison Officer on Humanitarian Affairs, UNHCR. Next, please welcome Ahmad Fawaz Ahmad Shukri, Chief Strategic Officer, Adab Youth Garage. Next, please welcome Hadiah Mehjabin, student, Bachelor of Human Sciences in Sociology and Anthropology, International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. And to facilitate the discussion, join me to welcome our distinguished moderator, Ahmad Faizuddin Razali, an economic advocate, public communicator, and activist. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause to our moderator and speakers. Dignity, purpose, and the future young people inherit. Faiz, over to you.
Okay, good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed speaker, respected delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to Human Economy Global Discourse 2026 on behalf of the organizer. Thank you for joining us for what promises to be a meaningful and timely conversation under this year's theme, Reclaim Humanity for Shared Prosperity. These two themes, I think, are very important for young person, from young perspective. Economy is about reclaiming humanity and shared the prosperity. So we have we gathered a few esteemed speakers. We should talk about artificial intelligence in reshaping industry. Global geopolitical tension continue to influence the global economy. Climate changing is challenging our resilience, and technological disruption is moving faster than ever. So we need to address all these things. This is our real challenge actually. So how do we ensure economic progress continue to improve people's life? That's the main question. So we have 5 speakers here. So I would like to introduce, before I will give the microphone to them. First, Helianti Hilman. Second, Muhammad Izzat Afifi. Third, Adli Zakwan. Fourth, Ahmad Fawaz. And the fifth, Hadiah Mehjabin. So I would like to start with Madam Helianti first. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Helianti Hilman. I'm from Indonesia. I run a company called Javara, which bringing back forgotten food culture and food biodiversity.
Second, I would like to Muhammad Izzat. Maybe you can introduce yourself briefly.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. My name is Izzat, and currently the president for the Malaysian Youth Council, or Majlis Belia Malaysia.
Okay, our third guest, Mr. Adil. A little bit about yourself.
Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Adli Zakwan. I'm currently the head of Humanitarian Affairs at United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. In the past few years, my career started as a human rights and humanitarian. I was with the government for a while, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I was with the International Committee of the Red Cross, a few other humanitarian organizations.
Okay, our fourth speaker, Ahmad Fawaz. Maybe a little bit about yourself.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. I'm Ahmad Fawaz. We are from the called Adab, which we provide safe spaces for youth in underprivileged societies, especially in urban poverty area. So we help to uplift them. So that's the main framing that I will share today.
Okay, maybe our last speaker. A little bit about yourself.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Hadiah Mehjabin, and I am from International Islamic University, Malaysia. I am in my final year, majoring in sociology and anthropology, bachelor's. Thank you.
Okay, so we already know our esteemed guests. We will have 2 rounds. Round first is about opening perspective. We will listen to them from their perspective, focus on maybe practical ideas, talking about human economy. I really love the topic of human economy. Economy is not about the growth itself, it's about you human actually. So maybe I would like to invite our first speaker, Madam Helianti, from your perspective, what is actually human economy?
I get to do my slides as well. Okay, can I have my slides, please? Okay, I have to say that I'm very much intrigued with the topic itself. So basically, the company that I founded in 2008, so about 18 years ago, is focusing on bringing back forgotten food culture and food biodiversity of Indonesia. The more it's being forgotten, the more we try to bring it back, making it sexy and hype. And not because of I'm being romantic with our food culture, but because it's relevant to address the future of the food system. The biggest challenge that they found is that Indonesia are losing 500,000 farmers every year. So we are losing the younger generation. They don't want to become the farmers. They don't want to live in the villages. We lose the women because they become migrant worker. So practically the villages are left with old people and the children. So it got us the question because in 2008, when we started the company, we know that we only have two choices. Either it's a government driven or it's market driven. Because we did not get the government support, then we know that we have to rely on the market to make our products and services marketable so that we can excel with our programs. So once we started to work on it, and most of the farmers that we work with in the beginning is everybody is above 55 years old. And down the road, 3 years after that, we keep receiving, that they are passing away. So that's when we started to realize that we need to try to get the younger generation going back to the village, but with a completely different approach. So that's when we started to talk with the younger generations, and they say like, well, there's nothing for us in the village. There is no opportunity. So that's why we realized that we need to bring rural entrepreneurship. We need to bring creativity, creative economy, and we can use the rural assets for that. Can I have the next slide, please? So, and I think there is a voice to that. This is an example. This community called Kaguna is from Ternate. It's interesting because they're not searching only for employment. They are searching for the future that is worth it and that they can belong to. So basically, when they started to return back to their village, it's not about only creating a product. It's a movement where they have the pride and dignity. So when they try to promote forgotten sagu, which is it's no longer become the Indonesian staple food anymore like before, they come not only with the product, they come with the music, they come with the illustration, with the performing art. So it comes with a completely that is really mind blowing. It's beyond. It's no longer a farmer anymore. They become an artist. So can we go to the next? Actually, can we play? There is a small button there. You can play the music. There is a small button of the volume. Yes, can you play that? So there is a button for the volume there. Oops, no. It's not working. Sorry, go again. So it's okay. If you can't, we just go to the next slides. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay. So that's when we realized that actually being in the rural area is not a problem. The outmigration is not caused by the geography, but it is caused with the lack of opportunity. So the question is how to bring the opportunity back. So can we go to the next slide, please? So this is the story of Yunita Ulim. She's a tribe community member in Papua. So we found out that they have a very mind-blowing product, which is plant-based salt. So the salt is extracted from the plant, very low sodium. We get the award for this in 2008 from Ciel Innovation Paris. So basically, you know where I'm getting it. We're talking about rebranding rural products. Bring it to the next level, bring it to the international level. And the same plant also produce sugar. Can you imagine how the chefs in France, in Italy, in Canada, they're really mind blown with the fact that they have a plant-based salt that are regenerative, and the same plant can produce both salt and sugar. So this is the type where we can have sexy and amazing products coming from rural and remote Indonesia, which even, you talk about Michelin star chefs in France, they would just respect this. I mean, because this is something that they will never occur. Next. Can we go to the next slide? So this is Laurencia. She's from West Sumatra. She started her business when she was only 19, simply because she learned that her friends, none of her friends, know anymore how to cook a proper rendang based on their tradition. So she created a product line based on rendang that can, ready to eat, ready meals, stable shelf life in the room temperature without any preservative. So when she started the business, it's not about the money, it's not about the business, but she carry her tradition. She don't want that the next generation are losing the authentic recipe. So the starting point, you can see that no longer it's about employment. It's not. It's much more than that. And she carried with the pride. Look at the smile. Yeah, she carried with the pride, and she's starting exporting right now. Next. So what they say, income, yes, it is necessary, but it is the purpose that keeps us going, and it's the dignity that make us stay. So this is a completely different mindset, because we thought about like creating employment. No, it's not. They want to be part of the future. They want to create the future. They want to make an impact. Next. So we don't start with the products. So you might be surprised that we've been working the last 18 years with over 10,000 family farms across Indonesia, fishers, farmers, foragers, and we export to 34 countries in 5 continents. And these products coming from remote and rural Indonesia, and going to high-end supermarkets, going to Michelin star restaurants. So there is nothing impossible, and this all coming from these amazing young entrepreneurs coming from the rural areas. We did not start with the product, but with the rural assets. They have the nature, they have the food biodiversity, they have the culture, and they have the community. So next. So basically, that's when we started to realize that it is the creative economy that changes everything. If they only take the name as a farmers, they felt that they don't have the pride. But now they call themselves as a food entrepreneurs. They call themselves as a F&B entrepreneurs. They have rural cafe, they have rural restaurants, they have gastronomy destination. So this is what really makes it alive right now, that the younger generation started to return to their villages, because they know that they can make a difference, that they have assets in their villages that allow them to stand out from the crowd. And we have proven it by having them in partnership with 5-star luxury resorts, having their product being exported. The next. So this is an example, just a very quick example. We create a new genre of profession. We call it a seniman pangan. So normally, like a normal seniman, you have like musicians and, dancers, but this is seniman pangan. So they can do roadshow, cooking in Italy, cooking in Jakarta, cooking in Bali, cooking in Melbourne. So they themselves carry their heritage food culture and present it to the world. So can we play the video? So this is from a community in Molo village. Can we have the voice, please?
Ibu sekalian, kita akan memulai
Can we have the louder voice?
ritual makan bersama secara komunal. Kita ingat kita akan memulai NATVU, ritual makan bersama secara komunal. Kita akan memulai bersamaan dan akan mengakhirinya juga harus bersamaan. Dengan ini kita memulai NATVU. women's food garden. It's a form of women's empowerment. What we're trying to do is to give hope, continue to give hope. They can grow their own food. They can feed their children from their own food garden.
So actually, this is the soul that we want to have in here to make sure that local support local. And for the first is actually for the women that they can support themselves for their family.
It's a journey. I think we have a very good future for people who have such great capability.
We used to look at our own food as inferior. We used to look at our food as the food of the poor peoples. And this kind of event provide them with not only with pride, but with also conviction that what we have been done in the last 4 years will truly make an impact on Indonesian traditional culinary tradition.
So that is why when we build the whole ecosystem of the school, the cooperative and Javara, we say we're not a food company. We build ecosystem of dignity because we thought that there is no way we will be able to revive back the forgotten food culture. So it's very important for us to build an ecosystem that nurture rural enterprises.
Para pemilik pengetahuan, mereka yang punya pengetahuan soal generation.
And I like to get reminded of how much richness there is in the villages across this wonderful country. We value the importance, and we know the role played by your women in the local communities.
So what I see today, a great potential possibility where we can allocate, monetize, and bring the ecosystem of dignity to our mama, to the woman support woman. This is how we want to connect, to make sure that all the local food are still theirs, and to take care, to preserve, to give back, and present its legacy to our generation.
Okay, I think I only have my last slides. Yes. So this is the future that we leave behind. Basically, this can only happen when we build the ecosystem because they could not do it themselves. We could not do it ourselves. It takes the whole village to move together. So building an ecosystem where the dignity is not only an aspiration, but it is a starting point. Thank you.
So, such a beautiful presentation. So, I pick up certain things. Young people, purpose and dignity. We should emphasize that things. Keep on repeating to the younger youth generation. We should have purpose and dignity. So, I would like to continue to our second guest speaker. Can you explain a little bit more about purpose and dignity in context of Malaysian youth? Muhammad Izzat Hafifi, Abdul Hamid from President Majlis Belia Malaysia.
Right, distinguished moderator, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, allow me to begin with a simple question. What kind of role are we asking to these young people to inherit? Throughout history, every generation has measured success by a single aspiration to leave behind a better world for next generation. But today, or perhaps the first time in history, in modern history, many young people are uncertain whether that promise still holds true. Across continents, they are entering adulthood amidst geopolitical conflicts, widening inequality, climate emergencies, rapid technological disruption, and so on and so forth, rising living costs, and growing uncertainty about the future of work. Never before a generation been so connected digitally, but yet so fragmented socially. Never before have young people or young person possess access to so much information, yet face such profound uncertainty about their place in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unfortunate. This therefore fitting that we gather today, not really to discuss economic growth, productivity, or innovation, but instead we ask for a far more fundamental question, which is, can we build an economy that places humanity before markets, dignity before profit, and people before productivity? Last year, world leaders adopted the United Nations Pact for the Future, reaffirming a powerful principle that young people are not passive beneficiaries of development, but instead equal partners in shaping our collective future. That commitment challenges all of us today, not only governments, but businesses, civil societies, and international institutions to rethink the kind of economy we are building. The world today is home to approximately about 1.2 billion young people between the age of 15 to 24 to 25, representing the largest generation of young people in the human history. Whether this generation become history's greatest demographic dividend or its greatest missed opportunity depends entirely on the choices that we make today. Today, I would like to share three reflections based on our topic given today, which is dignity, second, purpose, and third, the future that our young people deserve to inherit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not separate conversations. Today, together, they form the foundation what I believe should be a truly human economy. First, on the dignity, the foundation of a human economy. Brothers and sisters, development is not simply about increasing GDP. Development is about expanding people's freedoms, capabilities, and opportunities to live lives they value. These words challenge us to reconsider the very purpose of our economic system. For decades, societies have measured success through economic growth, investment that inflows, exports, and productivity. But these indicators undoubtedly matter, but they are incomplete. Because an economy cannot truly be called successful if these people who sustain it struggle to live with dignity. A human economy asks different questions, not simply how many jobs that have we created, but rather are these jobs dignified? Not merely who benefits from the growth, but merely, or not simply how fast is our economy growing, but who benefits from the growing or the growth or dignified? And are these jobs dignified? And how fast is our economy growing, but who benefit from the growth? How much wealth that have we generated, but how fairly has the wealth been shared? And these questions are particularly need to be asked or need to be settled or to be answered by today. These questions are particularly that we should be discussed into this forum. And across the world, young people are among the most educated generations in history. And yet, they also face some of the greatest. According to the international labor law, youth unemployment remains consistently more than twice the adult unemployment rate globally. Millions more are under formal work, known as gig economy, or employed in occupations far below their qualifications. Malaysia reflects many of these global realities. Although our national labor market remains relatively resilient, one structural challenge continues to concern us deeply today: graduate underemployment. According to the Department of Statistics of Malaysia, nearly 1 in 3 employed graduates are working in semi-skilled or low-skilled occupations that do not fully utilize their qualification or potential. This represents more than an economic mismatch. This is a dignity mismatch. When a young graduate spends years Pursuing education only to discover that qualifications no longer guarantee opportunity, frustration inevitably replaces optimism. And at the same time, many young Malaysians continue to struggle with rising housing costs, prices, increasingly living costs, financial insecurity, and delayed family formation. And these are not merely economic indicators. They directly affect our confidence, mental health, social cohesion, and ultimately trust in the institution as we are having today. Young people increasingly feel that despite working harder than previous generations, the pathway towards financial stability has become longer and more uncertain. This is why discussions about the economy must move beyond growth, as we should be discussing today, that they must embrace humanity, as mentioned by Professor Yunus, the Nobel laureate, that once observed that the poor are not poor because they lack of ability. They are poor because they lack of opportunity. The same principles that applies to many of our young people today. The talent exists, the opportunity exists, or the talent exists, but the opportunity aren't. So the principle applies to many young people today. Talent exists, creativity exists, and all sort of opportunity. But the problem is they're having this kind of having a sort of problem. So this is something that we need to discuss. Something that we supposed to tackle through this particular forum. I think this is more than 10 minutes.
Thank you. So I would like to address the main points stressed out by Mr. Izzat. Humanity before profit. So we need to distinguish two things, humanity and profit. Both things are very important. But because our next speaker represents UNCHR, and of course, I myself would like to hear from him about refugee topics. It's a hot topic, but need to be addressed because the topic is escalating, become hot debate in media social. The people out there confused. What should we do actually? Humanity, yes. But how about national securities? How about economic burden? How we find to address the issue? Do we need to draw the line? Humanity and national security. I would like to ask our next speaker, Adli Zakwan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. I'll start straight into the topic. I like the way how you construct your question. You started off a distinction of humanitarian efforts and national security, but at the end, rather than put an or, you put an and in the middle, which means that because normally we always have this misconception that humanitarian efforts or human rights issues has to be looked against national security, as if that these two are against each other. But when actually both actually comes together hand in hand, right? In order for you to protect humanity, you need to protect national security. In order for you to protect national security, you have to, of course, put into efforts of making sure that there's a humanitarian value to it. And I think let me share the background for those who are not familiar what's happening now in Malaysia, or even actually all part of the world. It's not unique to Malaysia, of this hate campaign against the refugees, or in particular of the Rohingya. On the 27th of May, unfortunately, during the Eid al-Adha, we are seeing there's an escalation of hatred against the Rohingya simply because of the way how they conduct their korban. Right? I think many of you have seen the image of Selayang and how they've conducted korban, but it was conducted not according to law. It was messy. There's blood all over the place. They clogged the drainage and everything. And people, of course, will blame this Rohingya on how they have failed to live accordingly, like following law and customs of Malaysia. I think on the same day, interestingly, because we were at Ampang Jaya, where we were working together with Majlis Perbayanan Ampang Jaya Local Council, together with the refugee community, and we conducted 250 korban at the same place, and 0 complaints, right? And we have been doing this for the past 3 years. And so now the question is, how can there be a difference between these two, right? And the difference is there's one who's willingly acknowledging the existence of the Rohingya, one, or the refugees. Second is acknowledging there's an issue caused by this community. And thirdly, by looking into solutions. So Ampang Jaya conducted, having this place, a specific place for the refugees to conduct their korban, with the sum of 550 ringgit per cow. It will allow the refugees to conduct the korban in a certain area where there will be a proper drainage system, there will be proper watering, there will be proper sanitation, proper place, secluded and everything. And Ampang Jaya have actually received a lot of profit from this effort. So it's a win-win situation. Local council receive profit, local community, as the Malaysians, don't feel uncomfortable of them the way how they conducted the korbans, and of course, the Rohingya able to do the korban. But for Sayang, unfortunately, these three things that I mentioned earlier was not actually looked upon into, right? They have, there are a lot of ways that we can actually avoid this thing from happening. Then, of course, we move forward to the series of events, right? Then we see this fake poster of a President Rohingya Malaysia, who was saying that we wanted to, we want to colonize Selayang. It's enough that we have Selayang. Then there's another fake poster who's actually saying, the Rohingya criticizing the Bumi-Putra policy. Yeah, when actually the comment, such comment was actually fabricated and it was not made by such organization. And then, of course, what makes it more worrying is the trend of hate against the Rohingya, where platform itself rewarding this hate campaign, right? They were the platform algorithm focuses on the virality of issue, regardless of whether it's good or not, whether it's truthful or not. But the algorithm is teaching its system and making sure that anyone who's actually if there's any hot topic, it will remain hot as long as possible, so that you can grow attraction to such posts or platform, right? So we started with the take command and everything, and unfortunately now what we're seeing is the normalization of hate, normalization of physical harm. You see comments that asking the Rohingya to be placed in a certain warehouse, then burn that warehouse. Do you see comments of having this idea of putting a head count or basically putting a reward for anyone who actually managed to arrest or capture a Rohingya, you'll be given 100 ringgit. And for some of those who are seeing this might say, "Oh, this is actually just for fun. It's nothing real behind this." But words does not remain as words. There's real consequences, and we have seen this in all over the country, all over the place, where a lot of mass shooting even started by words, started by misconception, misinformation, disinformation, and it's normalizing the hate will push someone crazy enough to actually commit it. And that's why it's important for us, for me, I guess, with the word of Ustad Sidi Farid Rahimahullah, where he mentioned that in order for us to know where we are heading to, we need to know where we've been and where we are now. So we are now, the word used is strategic foresight. In order for you to read what is happening in the future, you need to see what happened before, what is happening now, looking at the trends, and you can see the direction. And unfortunately, what we are seeing now is really worrying. In the trend of hate, in the trend of normalizing hate, and even the words of genocidal words are becoming normalized, right? And it's much more unfortunate because the trend of dehumanization also starts be seen in in mainstream media. So something that used to be or only to be remain in social media, whereby those who are not put into a framework, put into or trained to be following some conduct or having some framework of journalism ethic, so on and so forth, also extend into the mainstream media, where the comparison of the Rohingya with ikan bandaraya is being used in the media. The comparison of Rohingya with the barnacles. Barnacles ni, kalau kita naik kapal tu kan, yang ada sipur-sipur batu-batu dekat kapal tu kan, barnacles. So these two have two similarities. One is, of course, is dehumanizing the Rohingya. Dehumanizing is not something new. We've seen this in Rwanda. We've seen this in Bosnia. We are currently looking at it in Palestine. And what we are seeing now is also in Myanmar. But unfortunately, it's also the same word has been used in our own country, of equating the Rohingyas to be non-human. They are ikan bandaraya. They are barnacles. They are invasive species. Dia orang ini beranak pinak, membiak. They are kaum hanyut. They are the drifters. They are what else? They have a colony. So all these words, it's not just words. There's weight to it, and there's a context to it. And the context is dehumanization, which one of the 10 of steps to genocide. I'm not saying that we're heading to genocide. No. What I'm saying is what we are seeing now is something that we have seen and we have learned and we are trained to fight against, which is going towards genocide. And now we are also looking at the content of those who are legitimizing what is happening in Myanmar. They are saying that the Rohingya deserve this. You know, they are invasive. They are coming in their own country. They are not the word Rohingya is not indigenous. They are brought in by the British. So all this fake content or misinformation are being circulated and unfortunately believed by the mass. And I have to warn myself and warn others as well. When we're looking at mass, when we talk about social media, there is always this impression that this is the word of the majority. When actually, if you understand the algorithm and of course you understand the industry of hate, so we talk about economy of hate as well, right? And how I mentioned earlier about how platform benefits are rewarding any viral issues, but also there's this economy of hate, those who are paid to disseminate hate, and they are paid to do it. So if you're looking at the trends and everything, you will, at least from the NGO that we're working with closely, they are monitoring this issue, they are clear that 7 out of 10 of these comments are bots. They are log profile, these are someone who are just created. So unfortunately, there are 3 out of 10 are actually real human beings who actually commented something negative, who have actually following the trend. So the word of trend, of course, you see a lot of that it's motivate people to do a lot of vigilantes as well. Instead of social media, they want to be seen as someone who's heroic. They want to take action. They want to solve the problem and hence become vigilantes. So what we're seeing now is the word of what is seen in social media or in the media. Now we are also seeing it in real life. I just got back from this one state on the north that we are seeing 150 families of the Rohingya who are being forcibly evicted out of their homes, rented homes. The landlords have never had any problems with them. They've been living there for 10 to 15 years. The village head even admitted that their economy is dependent on the Rohingya to continue the fisheries industries, to making sure that they are working in the plantation, working in the in pertanian and everything, agriculture and everything. But unfortunately, because of the hate, the village head said, my hands are tied simply because the majority went to see him and ask him to do something about it. And unfortunately, the majority of people, which is again not majority of the people who goes from the village, but those who are vocal minority and active, asking the village heads to do something. But then unfortunately, you have to be evicted out. So we are seeing now, from work, we are seeing people evicted homes. There are those who actually lost their jobs. Now most of them who are actually still living in this village are afraid to go out. They are sharing that they don't dare to go out to resupply their groceries and everything. There are those who are living in hunger. And we are trying our best not to exaggerate things, but these things are real. They are real implications. They are real victims. So humane economy is about loss and profit. Economy is about loss and profit. But humane economy is, for me, again, being as a Muslim, it's not just about loss and profit. It's about Jannah or the hellfire, Jurga atau neraka. That is humane economy, because we live in a time where our faith are being tested. This is not just a question of humanity. It's also a question of our faith. How much do we believe in this? And we've learned a lot by understanding the economy of our religion, right? Where one door is closed, 9 more doors open. During Ramadan, if you give charity, then there'll be 27 times of your charity. And there's the Surah Al-Anfal made it clear, yeah? Especially looking into the stories of the Muhajirin in the A'udzubillahi Shaitanir Rajim, Wallazina amanu wa hajaru wa jahadu fi sabilillah wallazina awaw wa nasaru ulaika humul mu'minun haqqa lahum maghfiratu wa rizqun karim. So the idea of economy is in there. Those who migrate and those who fight in the name of Allah. Not only them, but for those who also help and be protection for these migrants, for these refugees, they are the mu'minul haqqa, the best of the mu'min. And what we go give to this best of mu'min? They will maghfirah wa rizqun karim. They will receive their sins all will be forgiven. Rizqun karim, the best of rezeki. So the economy of religion is the more you give, the more you help, for those who are in need, the most adapting, the more you will get benefits. And again, the question of national security, about the burden and everything, there's legitimate concern. And of course, I'm not saying here that the refugees, they are, they are the angels, that they have not committed any sins. They do have problems and issues, but there's ways to address it. And I'm shared with you the story of Pampang Jaya that have what I call it, evidently have solved a lot of issues on the ground during the Korban. But there's so many other examples I'm willing to share afterwards. But I guess in my beginning, I would say that there's this issue of this hate campaign. There are those who are actually utilizing this thing, but they are not the majority. You're also seeing a lot of youth actually fighting against this. But what we need more is, of course, the silent majority to be voicing out and making sure that they be at the front line of fighting against all this hate campaign. So that's for my 10 minutes.
I don't think 10 minutes is enough actually. We need 1 hour to talk about that. But okay, so when Mr. Adli say about human economy and dehumanizing is a contradict actually. We are moving towards dehumanizing, right? Little bit. Okay, so hate comment in the media social is the major problem. It's not in Malaysia, it's global situation. Terrorize our public thought, especially youth thought, create misconception, normalizing the hate, and it's happened. It's because we're moving toward dehumanization, and the question is really connect with our adab manners from Mr. Fawaz. How the best approach to make we become human again, not become dehumanizing? How we become a zombie community? I carry the narrative actually. I meet the people and I always say, do not create zombie communities. What I'm trying to say, zombie characteristic is simple. Eat and then angry. Eat and then angry. So we are moving toward that. The people always looking for eating something, and when they become hungry, they become angry. That's the trend. We see the people become irrational, and sentiment and fear become headline. Do you ready to face this hurdle? Do you can process all this information rationally? And simple question, my main question, can we make you human again?
Great and hard question. I have my slide. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to everyone here. It's interesting that my main point are the main thread of my point are the same between Izzat, Miss, and so Adli, and my ending is the same as your presentation as well. So I will share what is our solution. So, but first, to frame my sharing today, I'm from Adab Garage, an NGO which provides safe spaces for youth in underprivileged communities, especially in urban poverty areas. In Malaysia, you know the term PPR, low-cost flats, meaning they have small houses. And then these are the groups that usually, that Faiz said, are just like no one focus, and then the one that left behind. So we are trying to develop them and also give them what Izzat just mentioned was about opportunities and also about providing them, and also the skills and also the potential are there. Just the road, the opening, the road that is not available. So next, I just share with you two excerpts from next. Two excerpts from the previous news. On the left side is an event in some states. A teenage girl around 16 years old. He just clashed with her boyfriend, and then she make a post in her Instagram to vote. Do I need to commit suicide? And then, shockingly, majoritarily voted yes. And we just lost one 16-year-old full of potential of teenagers that we can bring up. So this is so sad. This is maybe anecdotal, but you can see around us that it happened almost everywhere. And also on the left side, the right side is about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying Act just been passed last year. After 3,000 and then 5,000 cases have been happened. It's the same about Gig Economy Act and also about the AI and everything else. So it will be 5 to 6 years later, we have the legal framework to solve it. So my main point is I am as a third sector. The first sector is the government sector. The second sector is the private sector. The third sector is me and you, the civil societies. We cannot wait for that. We cannot wait for the politician to have finished their word and then they change it again. So we cannot wait. So third sectors, the NGOs, the civil societies have to provide solution. So next, this is the one studies from UNICEF about 4 years ago. This is unheard of. One of 6 teenagers below 18 years of age have the ideation of suicide. Never heard of. So this is the challenges today. We cannot blame them because they don't have the answers, or maybe we don't provide them, or maybe they just overwhelmed with their life. So next, I just want to share with you one previous book, quite new, from Dr. Jonathan Haidt about anxious generation. He talked about the change of the psychophysiology of the youth today because of technology. So because of lots of free play and a lot of physical lack of physical interaction, then their mind has changed. For example, many of guys here using spectacles, but the spectacles has changed. The way they see the world has changed. So it's not the same. So you have to have different approach. But the solution are quite simple actually. Next. This next one. Next one, please. Next slide. This book is in the 1990s. It's shockingly, I read it in around 2000. How futuristic about this book from John Naisbitt is. He talked about the future. He's taken an example of a city that don't have human interaction in their education system. It's happening. And then, so the technology is high, but the touch is not sharpened. So this is our challenge to balance that between the technological advancement and also the touch, the humanity, and also the topic of our today is the purpose, the dignity, and also the identity of the youth as well. Next. So I just summarized my main point by this book. From Zabah is one prominent scholar in Malaysia. Perangai bergantung pada diri sendiri. In English is called your attitude depends on yourself. So there are 2 types of poverty. Number 1, next, miskin harta, the poverty of the material things. And number 2, miskin jiwa, the poverty of the soul. And almost all FGDs or discussion I've entered, most of them will jump to the solution of providing them skills, providing them economic assistance, providing them with some outer things. So we're not focusing on efforts on building the soul, i.e. the point is their purpose. So the youth are not many have ever encouraged or building the purpose, their vision, their motivation, and also to encourage them to do something that they can do. So we're just beating around the bush sometimes. Next. This is what Izzat has mentioned. So we are connected, but disconnected from ever before. So the solution is, next, we just need to connect deeper with them. So not to act the youth as a subject, but you understand this as human, and we live and then we discuss with them and also try to to solve their problems. Then that is what we do next. Adil Negara is a very simple solution. We provide a third space for them. So if they go to home and then they go to the school, they need to have the positive third space. If not, they will go any negative spaces. So we provide youth spaces in their location, so they can come after school and also after their free time. So the positive environment we can create all the time. So because their parents are working overtime, so no one at home, and their house is small, so we try to provide that next. The concept was we are providing them the safe space, safe not just physically but also mentally to share, so they can share. So this is just the blockage that happen. So they just don't have enough sharing spaces, so they can provide this. And we provide youth workers. We think full-time workers, they're working with the youth, and also informal learning approach. So the formal have done their part. So we just don't blame about education all the time. So we do our part as informal learning as well. So in terms of their free space, free time, also other activities as well next. And now, Alhamdulillah, we just expanded to 17 spaces across Malaysia, all across Malaysia. So thank you to our partners and also our engagement that we've done. So they are all the spaces that we engage to urban poverty youth, and we have to develop them in the long term. So the vicious poverty cycle, we hope, can be broken by them. So by building them, and they can bring their communities forward. So we hope in 3 to 5 years onwards, we hope that the youth, they will manage their youth centers as themselves. So the community has been empowered. So that is our main objective next. Some success stories. I don't share data today. I just share some stories. I just share with you on the right side, Daniel. What happened to him? This is some of the example that youth have been left out, not because of their problem, not because of their mistakes. So his father was a lorry driver. He was the oldest son. So his father working every day until night, so he does not go to school. He is the one that being sacrificed to send all his siblings to go to school. So he does not get to school. He did not go to school. But we met him. He has tremendous talent. He learned photography by himself, Canva design by himself, all by himself. Then he even, I think his skill is more, I think, is more expert in terms of the one that are trained. So now he become our staff in the media department. And then he don't have the SPM certificate, but we find other ways from skills or anyone else. So the last story is down there. We talk about youth leader club. And Hafiz asked me about youth. Will we have hope with them? This is real life example. They are 15, 16 years old, and they are at school. But we train them to, we create a youth community leader, community club for them to do community activities. But they pitching their grant by themselves, and we assist them. So these are not 16, 15 years old that are just playing Mobile Legends and lepak ke apa kan. So they have the agency to make the change. We just need to provide and believe in them and provide the environment. So this is replicable. So this use is the future of our country will become. So we hope that this network of youth will alleviate their communities, and they become the example of their communities next. So I just want to end this order next. Next, we received best youth organization from the Prince Crown of Selangor. Next, and this is the solution. When we came with solution, the term quadruple helix synergy is the synergy from all of these entities. So we cannot work in silos. So when you come with a solution, we have to come together with the government, with the industries, with the communities, and the academia as well. So they have different purpose. So you don't come alone. So AYG, myself and my organization, is the living example that we engage with the government, as I showed to you, from the government, from the industries, from the CSR project, and then from the universities. They help us with the capacity building, and also the impact assessment, and also the community that support us. So then we can provide the local solution for the youth, and these have to be the main agenda. And when all the locals are empowered, we don't need, I don't say don't need, we less need to the others assistance when the local are empowered. And this, I hope, will be the future of Malaysia when the youth are leading the change, the positive change in Malaysia, inshallah. So that's my share for today. Thank you very much.
Okay, the main important things I collect from Mr. Izzat is miskin jiwa and miskin harta. In English, losing soul versus losing money. We as a human cannot losing both. If we losing both, we will become a zombie. I said earlier. Because zombie is losing both. They're losing their soul and of course losing money. How to address the issue? I really love to engage further with Adam. Okay, we move to our next distinguished speaker, Miss Hadiah. I'd like to ask a simple yet important question. You can express your opinion about our topics today, human economy. Maybe you fully prepared to present your ideas, but I really would like to hear from your perspective, from your observation and experience. Does Malaysia embody the principle of a human nation? What strength do you see, and where do you think there is still room for improvement?
Okay, thank you, distinguished guests, respected fellow panelists, and my dear fellow young leaders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good morning. It is indeed a great privilege for me to be here today talking in this youth forum representing International Islamic University Malaysia. And I believe what I'm going to talk about is not all entirely new because the panelists here have already covered majority of it and they have provided concrete evidence to what they're doing to actually help the young people. However, I hope to summarize and bring my own perspective to this discussion as well. So, as a student of sociology and anthropology, we spend much of our time studying about societies, how people live together, how communities are built, and how institutions help shape our everyday lives. And perhaps that's why when I hear the word economy, the thing that comes to my mind right away is not GDPs, markets, or productivity. I think of people. Behind every statistic, there is a human story. Behind every policy, there is a family. And behind every someone's struggle, someone's hope, and someone's future. I would like to begin by asking this simple question, which was already raised by one of the panelists, and that is, what kind of future are young people truly inheriting today? Are we inheriting rich? Economic growth is the only measure for success, or is it the kind of progress in which purpose, dignity, and opportunity for every person to flourish is also taken into consideration? Because I believe if we are talking about a humane economy, then we have to begin with humanity itself. And for me, the foundation for a humane economy is deeply rooted in the principle from the Quran. Allah says in Surah Al-Isra, verse 70, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam, which translates to, and certainly we have honored the children of Adam. And what strikes me every time I reflect on this verse is that Allah didn't say Muslims or believers in particular. He said children of Adam. And that means every human being carries inherent dignity. And the dignity is not based on wealth, it is not based on social status, it's not based on profession, and it is not based on nationality, but simply because they are a human being. So if human dignity is universal, then our economies should be built to protect it. And this resonates with sociology too, when it says that societies cannot be studied only by measuring how wealthy it is, but by how it treats its people, especially those whose voices are rarely heard. Now, I would like to quickly take you through 4 challenges, which has somewhat already been discussed, but the challenges that I believe young people are facing today. Firstly, yes, we are living in an incredibly transforming world where AI is reshaping industries, there is rapid development in technology, and the cost of living is rising. And this makes young people uncertain about their future careers, like will AI take over all the jobs, for example? Secondly, this is less visible, but it is just as important. And that is, young people are struggling with loneliness. Yes, we are struggling with anxiety. And I know that the brother who just shared the evidence of suicide and whatnot is an evidence to this, that we are living in a society where we are digitally connected than any generations before us, yet we are disconnected, unfortunately, even from our own communities and sometimes even ourselves. Like the example shared, should I commit suicide is asked in a social media page, and the decision is made by what is the voting people give them. Thirdly, the representation of young people in decision making is, I wouldn't say it is not at all there, because the forum here today is a concrete and wonderful proof that it is existing. But globally speaking, it is less than 3% of parliamentarians where the people are under the age of 30, and this is happening in a world where half the population is under 30. And finally, everyone does not start from the same place. Millions of young people around the world, they lack opportunity to education and employment simply because of the circumstances they were born into. Now, if those are the challenges, then how should our response be? Firstly, replace uncertainty with guidance. Yes, young people do need jobs, but what they also need is guidance, mentorship, and opportunities for lifelong learning that will help them to thrive in this rapidly changing world. Secondly, in terms of loneliness, replace loneliness with compassionate communities. And this is where my experience as an international student in IIUM and even in Malaysia is very profound, because in my university, I work and study with students from different backgrounds, different nationalities, different languages and cultures. However, these differences were never our greatest challenge. In fact, those were our greatest strengths. And I understood that the concept of brotherhood and sisterhood is not just ideal concepts. It is my lived experience. And this is exactly what I want for other institutions and organizations, to have these kind of support groups and communities, just like the brother said, a third space maybe, but something that is formally recognized and funded and not like an extracurricular add-on. Thirdly, young people are not just future leaders. We should be the partners who are helping shaping them right from today. When young people are given real influence, I believe that they don't just bring in ideas, they bring in energy, they bring in innovation and hope. Finally, talking about barriers and replacing barriers with opportunities. And this is also something I can speak from my personal experience. And the brother from UNHCR has just spoken in detail about that. But I had the opportunity to volunteer with Rohingya refugee children in Malaysia for their educational empowerment. And what I saw is that those children, they are full of curiosity, full of dreams, and full of potential. But what they lack is the opportunity because of the circumstances they are in. So there should be education access programs, which is having ring-fenced funding lines so that it is not just the leftover budget that is there, and it is not the first thing to be cut off when resources get tight. Finally, I would like to conclude by saying that if we want to truly reclaim humanity for a shared prosperity, I believe that we should let us together build economies that help the people that is meant to be, like the economy that is meant to serve the people. That is the way how it should be built. And finally, Human economy begins when we stop asking, how can people serve the economy? And instead, we should ask, how can the economy serve the people? Thank you.
So progress. What kind of progress we are pursuing now? For me, the best question from Miss Hadia: make economy human again, right? Not how well we are, how we live as a community, as a human community. Do our community embrace the thought, or what we discussed today actually is too far from the reality on the ground? That's the question actually. So we really would like to hear from the floor. Any question? Okay, we have one question here. What is the long-term plan for the Rohingya community, and how can you assure Malaysian that this situation will remain economically sustainable while maintaining public trust and social cohesion? So I think the right person to answer this question is Mr. Ali.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So the Rohingya, normally people only see them as the problem, but in fact they're actually the impact or effect of the problem. Why? Because the main problem is in Myanmar, where they were citizen, they were denied being a citizen, they were pushed because of the war, because of the conflict, this genocide that's happening, or genocide intent, what is happening in Myanmar. So that's one thing that we need to know. And of course, I feel the discussion now revolving around those who are here. Yes, there's about 220 registered refugees. 60% of that, or basically about 120 of them, are basically the Rohingyas who are living in the country. And if you look into the bigger picture, and I have to explain this, non-citizen in Malaysia, there's about 3.2 million. So 120,000 out of 3.2 million is really minimal. So we're talking about 33 population in Malaysia. So the Rohingya in specific covers, or the refugees covered only 0.6% of the population. But then all the problems that we see is blamed on the Rohingya community, which is only the smallest number. So the long term, and of course, long term has always been of them going back to their homes, which is in Myanmar. They grew up there. They have their land and everything. So that is the number one thing that we have at least to focus on. And hence why I always question myself, why do this anger is addressed to the Rohingya when no one actually addressed it to the Myanmar government? Why there's a lot of protests, anger towards this marginalized group who are basically really marginalized, but no protest in the Burmese. Sorry, I should have not said that, but this is the question I have in mind. So long term is that. So the short term and medium term is something that we as Malaysia as a government need to recognize. And hence why the government now is implementing document pendaftaran pelarian or refugee registration system. It's one of the way and mechanism on the government to identify how many are there actually in Malaysia. And then from there on, they will actually have a lot of other mechanism. They will study issue of education. They will look into employment. And it's interesting, we look at economic numbers. IDS conducted this research, I think, in 2019 of the benefits of allowing refugees to work legally. And why do they work of legally? Because they have been working all this while. It's just that they have not been formalized. So by formalization of work of refugees into the workforce will actually bring the benefit of the country GDP in 2040 to 6.5 billion, up to 250 million of tax revenue alone every year. Why? Because compared to migrants, when they get their salary, they will spend it here. Why? Because their family members are here. Compared to migrants, they will not. I mean, of course, we know the Bangladeshis and others. They will actually send the money back to their hometown, that they can buy lands and everything. But for the refugees, the circulation of cash circulation will be internal, right? Kitaran duit tunai itu akan berada dalam negara. And of course, dia akan meningkatkan kadar KDNK bagi negara. So the numbers is on our side, but again, does the sentiment be the same? So this is something that is interesting, because market will always look at sentiment. Market will always be influenced by sentiment. But does the other way work around? The numbers of market shows, like for example, when I mentioned about this state in north of our country, who actually talk about the economy themselves dependent on the Rohingyas. They are the one who's actually filling in all this workforce, but unfortunately, does that reflect to the sentiment? So I think in the shortest term, I mean, as I mentioned to you, I can go on hours on the solution because we've been negotiating, discussing with the government. But of course, first one is the government is doing registration of the refugees. They are looking into allowing refugees to work formally. But of course, the issue of education is something that we need to look into as well, because they are being a refugee only as they are physical, but their ambition and everything should not be taken as a refuge. It should not be taken as hostage. We should give them the opportunity to flourish, because there's a lot of examples of those who actually went to alternative learning center, i.e. the schools that's for the refugees, have actually succeed when they are resettled. There's those who actually became best student in the US on medical and on dentistry, to show you that what they need is only opportunity. And of course, in the end, is making sure when you distinct them, then so the only reason why government actually sustain this cost is for you to putting them into the detention center. If you allow them out there, you allow them to work, they can pay all their own insurance, they can pay all this medical, what do you call that, costs that is incur. And this is what we've seen in other countries as well. So by exclusion will actually cause more loss to the country than inclusion. Yeah, if you include them in the system, then there will be a ways in how we can actually have them with us. Yeah. Maybe you can give the microphone to the floor. Someone.
Thank you. My name is Nuripa Kamso. I am here because I will be moderating the panel tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But I am so impressed with all of you up there, because here I am, 35 years as an investment banker. I also run a global outfit. I sit as chairman of some global companies. I sit on public listed companies. I am so impressed with so much passion and energy up there. So I'm so glad that I am in this forum and not in the other rooms. Now, what I am thinking is something more strategic and something more tactical. I mean, here is the word opportunity being repeated 12 times. Each of you repeated it 2 times, some probably more. I think all the 6 of you qualified to sit as board of directors of either public listed company or GLCs or corporations, because the people who sit there are old school. Now, how do corporations, GLCs, and everybody else at that level translate your passion and energy, if not because of people like you who could probably hold hands and translate that energy into what is in your heart? So I am actually suggesting the 6 of you establish a platform that you can work with ICDM, Institute of Corporate Directors of Malaysia, a platform that says, here is a list of young apa nama ni tadi ya, young generation or something that relates to that qualified to sit on the board of directors. For example, I sit on one of the public listed company, and I chair the board sustainability committee. We are actually looking for younger brains to contribute into what is in the heart of everybody else when it comes about humane economy, sustainability, ESG, and everything else. But I think we were struggling to find the candidate, because when we went to ICDM, we couldn't find it. And we were basically looking at candidate who can, I mean, you know, the one that is not just for the money, but for the heart. So I'm just suggesting a strategic and a tactical way to consolidate all this energy and passion into translating your conversion into humane, to convert the market into a more humane economy. Thank you.
Thank you. I take it as a really compliment. Very thank you, Latin. Maybe from my perspective, actually I'm working on talking to the people, explaining them about ekonomi manusiawi for the past 6 to 1 year. And I do not talk with the top higher. Saya bercakap dengan masyarakat biasa. To the lowest. Makcik-makcik, ketua kampung, guru-guru for the past 6 months. Kalau saya nak kira, saya rasa dah lebih hampir 50,000 orang saya bercakap. Setiap kali saya pergi, 1,000 orang. Setiap kali saya pergi, 1,000 orang. Apa yang saya buat? You have the floor, you have the mic, just ask any question. That's what I do at the Johor last 2 weeks. Saya pergi kedai mamak. Okay, awak ada mikrofon, saya ada mikrofon. Tanya. 200 orang. Dan soalan yang ditanya kepada saya semuanya kritikal. Sebagai contoh, masyarakat, when we talk about taxes system, they feel that's the burden. For the people yang bukan saya nak kata zombie, saya membawa karakter jenama zombie tu supaya orang mudah faham. Kita nak membina human. Human perlu ada tanggungjawab. Tanggungjawab dia perlu, semua level ada tanggungjawab. Kerajaan yang bertanggungjawab, masyarakat juga bertanggungjawab. Dia tak boleh kerajaan yang bertanggungjawab, masyarakat tak bertanggungjawab. Contoh, saya tak nak bayar teks langsung. Tapi saya nak semua kemudahan. It's not a sustainable way. Kita akan jadi macam Sri Lanka. Raja paksa. They want to win election. They abolish one of the main tax there. And unfortunately, after 4 years, their economy collapsed total. That's the thing yang I rasa saya nak present ke bawah supaya rakyat faham. Tetapi, do not burden the economy to the public when you are at the top, most corrupted. Human economy must work both sides. Atas bawah, atas bawah. Tapi what we are facing now is atas korup menjangkiti yang bawah juga korup. Yang bawah ni, I would like to have simple money, fast money, and I will vote for you. Atas ni, I know how to win things. That's the, saya kata persimpangan. Malaysia menuju persimpangan sekarang ni. You nak masuk jalan yang betul ataupun pulang ke belakang. So kita ada 10 minit. Saya ambil masa sedikit lah sebab saya jarang jadi moderator. Kalau saya bercakap bahasa Melayu akan lebih flow. English ni saya bukan, I'm not a native speaker of English. I can understand English, I can speak English, but sorry, I'm not a good speaker. As long as you understand, I think it's good enough, right? Okay, so we have 10 minutes. Any question? Please ask that question. We have, okay. Can we give the microphone to the floor?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning everyone. At first, I want to thank you all for all your ideas and what you have shared for us here today. It was really meaningful. At first, before I ask a question to Ms. Hillman, I have to say really that your heart, your words really touched my heart, especially the video that we have seen here, because at every time or when I was watching the video, I was remembering my country. I was remembering the small communities in my country and how are they related and how the flavors that you have changed or you have take it to another level, to a high level. I can say that your idea is to encourage the internal and external tourism inside your country, for the people inside the country and the people outside your country. For me, I can say that the major problem or the most challenging things in the same field should be the stakeholders and the money that should be used to fund the same, the money that has to fund the same project. So what are you going to say, if I give you the chance, to the stakeholders to support the same project like this one? I have another question also to Mr.
Maybe we give to Madam Helianti answer that first because we have limited time. Okay. Okay. Madam.
Okay. Thank you very much. One thing for sure, we never start the project because the money is there. We always start with project with asking who will be paying for the product and the services? It has to be market driven. Because if the market buys in, then the money for developing the project will be there. Because as I said, there's always two ways of approaching it. Either it's government driven or it's market driven. In our case, we did not have the government support, so we have to rely on the market. When we rely on the market, the premise is very simple. We don't want people to buy the product or the services because they feel sorry for you. They have to buy the product and the services because it's the best quality, the best products you have. So whether it has a social, environmental impact, it's a bonus, but it's never become our priority. Our priority is either you go high or you go home. The more you are in the remote and rural area, the more you are smallholder producers, the more you have to excel. Our partners send rare spices to 3-star Michelin star in France who flow it in air freight, probably only 10 kilos of this, 50 kilos of that, 30 kilos, not a big amount, but they never bargain the price. So it's about the value, not the volume. So because of that, when we started, we don't have the budget at all, but we do have expertise. So I bring in a friend of mine who's been working in 35 years in hospitality industry with the Marriott Group, Kempinski, and I said like, can I steal your brain and your skill to train this community so that they can become a gastronomic destination at the expense, at the price of the same like boutique hotels. So that's what we need. We need people who are willing to give back. And apparently there are so many. Our School of Rural Entrepreneurship, we are blessed. We have 200 people that want to give back. Probably also you, ma'am. You have a lot of experience. So we try to like look in every room. We try to like, I think I'm going to tap you for that expertise. So apparently there are so many people are willing to give back. And it's just amazing. We have like food scientists. We have those who are really expert in branding, in marketing. So tap to all those people, and we said like, this is what we want to do. This is what we're going to aim. If the project make it, we'll split the margin. So basically, it's not a free ride actually, but we don't have to invest it in the beginning. They will enjoy it together with us once it makes money. But the only way that everybody benefits, make sure that we go high. So our standard of products, even when we work in the most remote Indonesia, it has to be able to be sold in, say, supermarket in Switzerland or in Italy. So we don't want to, being mediocre is not a solution. So we cannot just being regular. We have to excel. So that's the approach that we did.
Okay, Madam, you already conclude what is human economy actually. Thank you for making my task easier actually, right? Right, that's a human economy, the beauty of human economy. So we have maybe another 2 minutes, maybe last message from each of you. Maybe 50 seconds. 15 to 30 seconds.
Okay, so what I would like to mention again, which I already spoke about, is that young people are not just future leaders. We should be involved and we should be included in today's decision making. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to come here and speak like this today. And we need more of these kind of initiatives and not less of them. Thank you.
It takes a village and an ecosystem to be able to move forward with whatever we want. And it means you have to drop your ego.
Everyone, please, 15 seconds.
Well, young people demands dignified job opportunities.
Yeah, so we can work together in many formats. Not only in a board of directors, it's a big task. We can network, we can share expertise, we can empower the local youths, and also we can find many ways to work together impactfully. So there are a lot of partners that we can work together. So hopefully by building the societies that the residents that Faiz was mentioned about the top, whatever happened at the top, to make sure the community is resilient. So we hopefully to achieve that together.
Um, challenge yourself, I think. Yeah, for whatever you see in the social media, whatever you've read, challenge yourself in finding the truth, in fighting against the untruth. Because all of us are leaders, yeah. Kullukum ra'i wa kullukum mas'ulun ra'iyati. We will be question of our leadership. So we have our own influence, making sure that, I think most importantly, fight against hate speech and genocide. That's number one.
Okay. My last is an economy should never lose sight of the people it is meant to serve. So saya nak bawa satu mesej sajalah. Negara mesti menang sebelum saya serahkan kepada pengerusi kita. Terima kasih.
All right, thank you very much to the moderator and speakers. Let us give a round of applause to all of them. Thank you for an eye-opening and interesting discussion. Would you please stand forward, moderator and speakers, for a group photo? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of human economy lies in the hands of today's youth, and by investing in their values, voices, and potential, we invest in a future built on compassion, inclusion, and shared prosperity. So once again, thank you very much to the speakers and moderator for the session. Ladies and gentlemen, don't miss the opportunity to explore the exhibition booth, meet our exhibitors from our partners, and expand your network. Ladies and gentlemen, you can enjoy the RM 16 ringgit and 50 cent flat parking rate. Please scan the QR code available at the Repetios table or at any of the counters located around the event area. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for lunch, the most awaiting moment. Lunch is served in the Mawar lounge to your left upon exiting the hall. And please make your way back to this hall by 1:50 p.m. as we continue with another insightful afternoon of discussions and thought-provoking sessions. Please do not leave your valuable belongings in the hall. Enjoy your lunch. Happy networking. We'll see you back here at 1:50 p.m. Thank you very much.